republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads. Dear Lord, we thank you for bringing us here tonight. We ask that you watch over the great city of Newman, and we ask that you give this council the wisdom and guidance to do the right things for the great city of Newman. And this we pray, amen.
Thank you, Bob. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis.
Present.
Graham.
Here.
Candia.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Martina.
Present.
Mayor Caton.
Present, thank you. Item 5, declaration of conflicts of interest. Seeing none, go to item 6, ceremonial matters. A, proclamation, disability awareness month. Anybody here? What's your name?
Shannon Anderson.
I'm sorry?
Shannon Anderson. Come on
No,
up.
Dave. I'm sorry. All right. Welcome, Gene. Nice to meet you. All right, I have a proclamation here, and proclamation of the City of Newman, whereas the City Council of the City of Newman has recognized healthy communities as a priority, whereas disabilities can affect all people regardless of age, race, gender, social status, and essence of life is not embodied by physical mental perfection, but is an integral part of the human spirit. Whereas there are estimated 4,268,000 people with disabilities across the state of California, and over 87,000 people over the age of 5 with disabilities in Stanislaus County. Whereas within the next year, at least 1 out of 8 Californians will experience disability personally or through family members. Whereas Society for Disabilities will commemorate June 2015 and each June thereafter as Disabilities Awareness Month. Now, therefore, I, Ed Caton, Mayor, on behalf of the City of Newman and the Newman City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of June as Disability Awareness Month in the City of Newman and urge all citizens to become aware of the needs and capabilities of persons with disabilities. Signed this date, June 9, 2015. Do you have to say the words?
I'd just like to thank the mayor and the city council on behalf of the Society for Disabilities. We are also doing a 30-day disability awareness challenge this month, so we would encourage anybody who's interested to join along. You can find each challenge every day on our Facebook page or on our website, www.societyfordisabilities.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Go to item 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. Any member of the public wish to address the council? Now it's time to, please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, City Council members, Mayor. My name is Alex Jabala. I live at 749 Black Mountain Lane. I originally prepared what I'm about to say on May 18th in preparation for what I thought was going to be May 27th City Council meeting, only to discover that I was a day late. I also realized that there had been a public hearing at May 26th meeting to discuss new water restrictions. It would have been nice to send out notice about this meeting. That being said, here's what I came to talk about. I have something on my mind that is bothering me. On my most recent water bill, dated May 22nd, for service period April 13th through May 12th, it's 31 days, there was a terrible error. I noticed that my consumption, based on meter readings, was 49 units. This was odd to me because the previous 6 years for the same period averaged 15.2 units. These 49 units of usage really confused me because I checked my system bi-monthly, from outside sprinklers and pipes to inside faucets and toilets. I replaced toilet flappers when they show the first sign of seepage, and I immediately fix dripping faucets if I encounter them. All the checks aside, I'm also trying to do my part in scaling back 25%. I'll edit that to the 24% that came about. I decided to call the city to figure out what was happening. After calling the wrong department, Public Works, I was transferred to the correct department, Finance, and was soon talking with a representative. I promptly told her who I was and why I was calling. She pulled up my account so we would be looking at the same information. Immediately, she began telling me what could be the problem. Unfortunately, everything she came up with pointed towards me or my system. She told me that normally it's something that people wouldn't know to look at, like sprinklers or a broken irrigation pipe. After I explained to her how I checked my system and I would like to have someone come read my meter again, her story changed. but only a little. She said that she had flagged my address for a recheck, but that it must have been overlooked. Then it was right back to me and how I must be watering my lawn more because the season's changing and the nicer weather. I invited her to come see my dying lawn, but she declined my offer. She assured me someone would be out to read my meter and she would get back to me. About an hour later, the representative called me back and told me that, in fact, there had been a misread on my meter. She began apologizing and no longer blaming me, which was nice, and I respected that. We came to the conclusion that my actual usage for that period was around 9 units. That's a difference of 40 units, or 29,920 gallons of water. Everything was straightened out, and my account received a credit due to me already paying the higher bill. The thing that bothers me the most is that she allegedly flagged my address for a recheck, but when it didn't occur, nothing happened. Had I not called and insisted on someone coming out, it would have gotten paid and nobody would have been the wiser. How many people has this happened to undetected already, and how do we prevent this from happening again? There needs to be some form of checks and balances in place so that the residents of Newman can feel comfortable that they're being charged for what they are using. I would like to close by asking why the city doesn't seem to be encouraging or assisting the residents of Newman in efforts to conserve water. I'm sure that several residents don't know how to check their sprinklers or fix their toilets. A simple flyer inserted into our monthly bill with tips and a basic checklist of what to look for would be invaluable to everyone, me included. Also, it would be nice to be able to easily track conservation progress. Since our efforts are to be considered against 2013 usage, and the city has records of everyone's usage, why not have the percent of change each period printed right on the bill? You could list monthly and yearly percentage changes on each bill. That way, even if you have a bad month conserving, you could still see if you were in line to reach the goal for the year. Also, then city officials would be more aware of which users are not doing their part, and perhaps they need a good reminder. When people are aware, conservation becomes easy. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, we'll go to item 8, consent calendar. A is waive all readings of ordinances and resolutions except by title. B is approval of the warrants. C is approval of the minutes of the May 26, 2015 meeting. D is adopt resolution number 2015, next to number authorizing a change in CalPERS employer paid member contributions, miscellaneous group, management group. E, resolution 2015, next to number authorizing a change in CalPERS employer paid member contributions, safety group / management. F, approval of the home sub-recipient agreement for fiscal year 2015-2016. Council direction.
I so move for approval of the consent calendar.
Second motion.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. 9 is public hearings, and we don't have a public hearing this evening, so we'll go to item 10, which is regular business. A, approve fiscal year 2015-2016 annual budget as presented in the preliminary budget document. 1, adopt resolution number 2015, next to number, a resolution adopting the budget for fiscal year 2015-2016, and 2, adopt resolution number 2015, next to number, a resolution establishing the appropriations limit for fiscal year 2015-2016.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. We recently completed our budget workshop between 6 and 7 o'clock tonight. The two resolutions, one is adopting our budget for the next year, and the second one is adopting the GAN appropriations limit, which is an amount that's calculated through changes in population and one other factor, in that we're well below, as far as the amount of expenditures we have in our budget, we're well below the limit that is set by that. If it was the other way around, we'd have to adjust our budget so we remain under that limit, but we're fine with that. We gave you opportunity for any questions earlier. If you have any other questions, I could answer them for you.
Before we move on, any last minute questions or comments for Lou? Okay, council direction on item number 1.
I so move to adopt resolution number 2015, next number, a resolution adopting the budget for the fiscal year 2015-2016.
second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 2.
I move for adoption resolution number 2015, next number, a resolution establishing the appropriation limits for the fiscal year 2015, 2016.
Second that motion also.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Go to item B, report on appointment to fill vacancy for the planning commission. Steph?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. In January of this year, Planning Commissioner Sloan resigned due to ongoing health issues. This left a vacancy on the commission. On February 24th, the city council appointed Timothy Parker and reappointed Debbie Allen and Lee Coleman to the commission. That still left one vacancy remaining. Several months have passed by, and the city has just recently received an application for citizen service for said vacancy. That application was from local resident Marlena Cardinal. It's essential that the Planning Commission have a full membership to allow for quorums and the timely processing of applications. If appointed, it would be effective immediately, and the remainder of the term, for the remainder of the term, which is set to expire in February of next year. Given challenges in recruiting for citizen service, staff is requesting that the City Council consider the appointment of the Planning Commissioner position and potentially filling the seat. Happy to answer any questions. We did send her a letter, but she's not here.
Any questions, comments of Stephanie, and any desires of the council?
Looks good to me. Her application looks really good.
Okay, since she was the only one that had applied for, so there's no sense going through the question and answer period. So if someone would like to make a motion to appoint Marlena to the Planning Commission.
I move that we appoint to fill the vacancy on the planning commission.
I second that.
The motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We let Marlena know she so been appointed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steph. Okay, we have item C, report on 2015 Newman Fall Festival. Brett, Lieutenant Short.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Tonight, before you is a discussion on the 2015 Fall Festival coming up on Labor Day weekend. Some of the routine street closures are as follows. R Street on Wednesday, September 2nd, from 5 a.m. to Monday, September 7th at noon. This is the Carnival Street. Fresno Street will be closed on September 5th for the weekend. Tulare Street on Sunday, September 6th for the car show. Q Street will be closed on Saturday, September 5th for the weekend. And the Fall Festival Parade Route closures on 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sunday, September 6th. That'll be Mariposa Street from S to Main, Main to Mariposa, Mariposa to Fresno, Fresno, and back up to the park there. That'll reopen as soon as the parade route passes. Some scheduled events with the Fall Festival are as follows. The fashion show on Sunday, August 30th at the theater. Little Miss and Mr. Newman on Thursday, September 3rd at the theater. Bailey's Legacy Fun Run, 8 a.m. on Saturday, September 5th. And the Evening Under the Stars event, formerly known as the Wine and Cheese, has a date at the Downtown Plaza for Friday, September 4th. Fall Festival Committee has asked for the following downtown standards to be waived for the Evening Under the Stars event: the day of operation, hour of operation, music hours of operation, cleanup deposit, waive ordinance 9.01.021, drinking in public for the time frame, to waive the electrical and restroom use fees, and to waive the glass cup and bottle usage standard. All other standards will apply. The Fall Festival Committee has secured their $3 million insurance and liability policy with the city named as an additional insured. Other requests by the Fall Festival Committee are as follows: to waive the business license fees for vendors in the park, exclusive use of Pioneer Park, Dinsmore Park, Barrington Park, and the L.J. Newman Building, to waive permit to have alcohol in the park, authorize the use of the entire park as a beer garden, public works assistance with park maintenance prior to the event, and they've also asked to waive all associated police services fees. And the police department will again fully staff the park with all available personnel. Although the Fall Festival Committee has requested a waiver of police associated fees, it is staff's recommendation that all applicants costs be invoiced to the fall festival. And I can answer any questions that you may have.
Questions or comments for Lieutenant Short? And Julie, you're here, I just saw, is there no Miss Newman contest this year?
The person that was previously in charge of the Miss Newman pageant has asked to step down. She would just like to do a little Mr. and Miss pageant. With school already being out, the Fall Festival Executive Committee discussed it, and we decided that with it being the 45th year and us doing a few special things, namely the float, and we had nobody to run the pageant, nobody has come forward yet to say that they would like to take over the Miss Newman pageant. We decided that this year we would put it on a hiatus. We are hoping a story will go out in the paper in the next couple of weeks saying just that if anybody in the community would like to step forward to take over the Miss Newman pageant, we'd love to have them join us at one of our meetings, so that we'd like to see it back next year. But this year, due to the late time frame and with school already being out, we felt it would be difficult to get girls to do it.
So what's going on with the float then? If there's not going to be anybody riding the float, why are we doing the float?
We discussed it, and we decided that if there is no Miss Newman pageant this year, we would ask the current court to stay on and reign for another year and be Miss Newman first runner-up and Miss Congeniality to represent Newman at all the events with the float.
Get the hounds. Okay, yeah, I guess it's sad that it may not continue, and I'm just...
It is, it's unfortunate, but as you know, our committee is small in size, and there's only so much that we can do.
Well, what concerns me now is the fact that city's given $5,000 to build that float.
Yes.
And that float's going to sit and not be used.
No, it will be used because it is our intent to request that the current court stay on. And we have a good feeling that they will, since they are the ones that took a lot of initiative to get the float project off the ground. It would be a good thing for us to allow them to continue their reign. This has happened one time in the past, in the history of the Fall Festival. There was not a Miss Newman pageant, I don't recall the year, but we had a previous Miss Newman stay on for 2 years. And then it did come back. So we're hoping that when the story goes out in the paper, we will get some interest and people feel the same way that you do and hope to see it come back, and somebody will step forward and volunteer their time.
Yes, it's too bad, but it is May. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Council Lieutenant Short. Council direction.
Need approval on that?
Yeah. Report's been given, recommendation by Lieutenant Short's been made. He's made his presentation, so, yeah,
I
Council.
make a motion that we approve the report of the 2015 Fall Festival.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor. Before we move on, I think we need some clarification on the police services.
Ooh.
Well, they're free. You're donating your time, Brad.
Okay, I'm sorry, I moved right over that. The physical impact, police department, Lieutenant Short indicated that we'll fully staff the park with all available personnel, and that the Fall Festival Committee has requested a waiver of police associated fees. The staff has recommended that all applicable fees be applied in an invoice to the Fall Festival Committee. So that needs to be addressed. Council's pleasure.
What does that normally run us to?
3 to 35, yeah, 3,000 to 3,500.
It's just for the reserve officers and our school resource officers. All the rest are on payback days.
We don't charge for payback days. It's just the ones that are actually costing us money. So we're only charging probably for half of or less of our personnel that's out there.
So that money comes out of the general fund.
Normal procedure though, right? In years past?
They have requested in the past, but they've been billed and they've paid the bill the last several years. We actually give them a reduced rate. We cut them a flat fee. We cost us a little bit more than we actually charge.
Although, because there's officers in the park, one team is on duty, the other team's off duty, but they'll payback days too, so the regular full-time officers are staffing the park, they're paying for the reserve officers, the extra reserves that you have to bring in.
Correct.
To work. Can you do it without the reserve officers? How many do you bring in?
All of them. We have currently three.
Three?
So it'll be a little bit less than last year in our staffing. I wouldn't recommend less staff in the park.
Right, absolutely not. Okay, council, what's your direction?
I still stand by the first, to approve it.
To,
Approve it, if you approve it, you're approving it here. I think it's the recommendation that you approve it under staff's recommendation
Yes.
to not raise the fees?
to not waive the fee.
Is that what your motion is? I'm kind of torn. 'Cause I know in years past, I don't know that we always charge the Fall Festival Committee for the officers that worked in the park. But it is an additional amount of money that's going to come out of our general fund. So, and your estimate is about $3,000?
Yeah, and there is a little catch to that. If we don't charge the Fall Festival Committee, if I understand he's correct, we will not be able to utilize our reserves because we can't pay them. Because then they would be,
Yeah, there's a question of being an employee versus,
because,
Well, they can't volunteer work for free.
right,
The law says they can't do that.
right. And I don't believe the city can pay them because then they become an employee and they're not designated as, so they're designated as volunteers. And the only way we've got around that is to charge either the Fall Festival Committee or the high school when we work games
Right.
to pay those individuals.
Yeah, well, I understand that part. FLSA says you can't work for free, and so, and they're not paid by the department. So bottom line, somebody's got to pay them.
So, your motion, Casey, was to follow the guidelines of... I'll second.
Staff recommendation.
Okay. So there's a second, and a motion and a second to approve the staff report as written and bill all associated fees to the Newman Fall Festival Committee. Is that correct?
Pay for.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Julie, you guys gonna have to come up with some money. Okay. Go to item D. Second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2015, next number, approving a 3-year time extension to a development agreement for number 08-02, Mattis Ranch, and authorize staff to publish summary of said ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. This item was continued over from May 26 when we held a public hearing on the proposed extension. Again, this was originally approved in 2008 at the time that the economy dropped off and the housing market dropped off, and a previous development agreement was also extended for an additional 3 years. So we're recommending that this project development agreement be extended for an additional 3 years. It would allow the developer to move forward with the project, and it also allows the city to collect those additional fees that were negotiated as part of the development agreement. With that, I can answer any questions that you have.
Questions or comments for the city manager? Seeing none, bring it back to council for direction.
I move that we approve the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2015, approving a 3-year time extension for the development agreement number 08-02, Mattis Ranch, and authorize staff to publish a summary of said ordinance.
There's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay, item 12, items from the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Not much to report. We did have a community committee meeting last night. It looks like they're going to be wrapping things up and preparing a recommendation to this council We asked them for 2 weeks for staff to prepare some literature and a recommendation for them so that they could forward that on to you at this particular point in time. So that's really all that I have, unless Mayor Pro Tem Martina had wanted to add to that. The second thing was just, again, we talked about it a little bit in our budget workshop. We are working through your Public Safety Subcommittee, is working with the West Stanislaus Fire Protection District and their subcommittee about the possibility of doing a joint funded position to replace our outgoing fire chief. We've kind of wrestled on some big picture wording and some items that need to probably be agreed upon as we move forward with a memorandum of understanding. We've moved across that threshold, and so we'll be working with legal counsel to draft a memorandum of understanding and hopefully get that to you within the next 45 to 60 days. We hope to be starting the recruitment in about 30 to 45 days. So I can answer any questions that you may have.
Questions, comments for City Manager?
Michael, just a comment or a question on our next meeting will be at the Memorial Building. Will we advertise that in the paper so people know that?
Yes, we have worked with our local newspaper to do advertisements.
I believe it went out today.
It's in the Tuesday.
It's in the Tuesday Review, and it'll be in the Thursday paper as well. We've also worked with them on our water conservation and education ordinance that you just passed, and so we'll be doing 2 weeks worth of full color ad on that to try to educate our residents on some of the changes that will be coming forth.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, thanks, Michael. Staff, Chief, anything?
I don't have anything tonight, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anything for the Chief? Stephanie?
I was going to touch on the notice in the paper for the public meeting, but we just did that, so that's all I have.
Thank you. Lou?
Nothing tonight. Be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Casey?
Yeah, I have a couple of quick things. On Mr. DeBala's issue, is there anything in place for flags being missed? I mean, obviously, if they flag that count, that's a process put in place to say there's a potential error for whatever reason, but it doesn't look like it was followed up on until it was brought to attention.
We'll have to go through our operating procedures, but at this particular time, maybe that was a human error. We'll just go back and take a look at that. We do everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen, but
Right.
follow up.
And then for Mr. DeBala, just so you know, I believe there's already, on your bill, there's already prior years. I don't know if it goes back to 2013, but it does do the prior year to show your difference from last year to this year, is what I understand. Mine's online, though, so I can't tell you. I believe the online one is on there. Am I wrong on that?
Luke can answer better.
Yeah, on the utility bill, it can only display 2 years of usage. However, you can log into the city's website, set up your own account, it's all free, and there you can do multiple years and look at your history both as a graph and also as just straight data. Also, I could address on the issue of when the account gets flagged. What it is once we go out and do the reads, our staff goes through and looks at those readings to see anything that's out of the ordinary, and that's when they get flagged. So there are several that they will send people back out to read. If it happens to get missed, or if the person, unlikely, would come back with the same number, in the following month, when they go out and do the reads, it typically would get caught then if it didn't get caught at this point. So at some point, it's going to get caught up. All they're doing is going back and reading the numbers that are actually on the meter. So if somebody had transposed some numbers, gets flagged by the staff, they'll send somebody back out there to look at it. If that person corrects it, it gets corrected on that bill. If something happens, the next bill, when they go back to read it, it would get corrected at that point. But typically, like with most things, we recommend what most frequently happens. So when we see several accounts that have high numbers, we'll tell people that some things you can check are for water leaks, and those are the most frequently thing that happens. It's less frequently that a misread is done, but they typically recommend in the order that things happen. It's kind of like on a car when something goes wrong. If your car doesn't start, they usually say, well, start with the battery. They typically don't say, well, check your wires first, even though it could be something like that. But yeah.
That's
And one of the things I think the council needs to understand, in the long run, the situation with we did our best to rectify it, and we corrected the account, we corrected our error, so that's the main goal, is to correct something at the end. And we don't want to create any problems, but we are human, and so sometimes we will miss something, but if we do, we'll accept that and make the correct modifications.
Michael, what concerns me is if there's a record, past record of usage, and then all of a sudden it goes like spikes like this. I mean, I would question that.
Yeah, and we did, and that's why we sent out a misread. And I can tell you from my own personal, it happened to me, and they said, hey, Michael, there's something, you had a high water use, you should check it out. Well, I had a busted pipe under some concrete that happened to go right into my sewer cleanout, so the water never showed up. So I wouldn't have known unless they told me to get something checked out, and I had to bring a plumber around and get it all fixed. So, things do happen on our property. So, again, we try to work with our residents as best we can to make sure that.
And I think our staff does a great job, but I would just hope that when a citizen comes in, to ask questions, that we really try to get to the bottom of it as soon as we can, and let them know that, we'll follow up with them, and not so much, I know we need to point out things, but I prefer that a customer go away knowing that our staff is going to do everything they can to get to the bottom of it, and not kind of leave them in a, for lack of better terms, a sour state of mind, So
we will re-emphasize that with our staff. Customer service is always
Absolutely.
first, so we'll just re-emphasize that.
I would like to say, he did mention that they called back within a couple hours and got back to him, so I mean, that is
And I think
pretty
everybody
good,
has to
pretty
recognize,
decent.
We're all humans and we make mistakes, and it's bottom line is we correct it and we move on. So I hope you're satisfied with that.
But-
overall.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I'm satisfied with the
And-
development. I just would like to see the direction of conservation efforts
We-
on it. There's only the previous reading and the current reading on the bill shows you your current consumption. Obviously, like Mr. Humphrey Lewis said, you can go online, but not everybody knows how to do this, and it's not easy. You know what I mean? Let's make it easy. You guys want everybody to conserve 24%? Make it easy. People are going to do it if it's easy. You know what I mean? If it's right there in their face, everybody gets this in the mail. If it's right there in their face, you're going to go, oh man, 39%. That's not very good. I got to lower my thing down. And then amongst friends, it'll become a competition. Hey man, I've got all my stuff right here. I could tell you, I'm 36% down, 25% down. I'm already 48.6% down for the year. You know what I mean? It turned into competition, fun. Man, you guys' job would be so much easier.
And we recently just approved the water ordinance to lower and go to a scheduled watering, and all that stuff will be coming out in flyers in the mail, and in the next month or so, you'll be getting that in your new bills. Or like you said, there's going to be a couple papers.
I don't get the newspaper. Not everybody
There's a flyer that's going out in everybody's water bill. There's full page, half-page ads in the index. We're hoping to do an article with Mr. Harris, and it's also on our website.
Yeah.
So, there's multiple medias, and it's getting mailed to every single person in their next mailer. So, we're trying
Work
to
in
do everything
progress.
we can to do it. If that doesn't cover everybody, it's going to be difficult to get any more than that. So, it's just, again, it's something that just recently passed, so we're doing everything we can to bring that up.
There we go. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Casey. Bertie, anything?
Not today.
Nick, anything?
Nothing to know.
Bob? And I have nothing. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good night, everybody.